Hey everyone, Thomas here with For Real Movie News and Reviews, and I'm joined today by Walker Whited, the director of the new home invasion thriller By Night's End, which is now streaming on demand. Walker, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to start off by saying I had a lot of fun with this movie. It really was. There's like a good amount of drama and action going on, and it's really an interesting and exciting kind of film.
Cool. Wow. Thanks. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Can you start off by telling us what the movie is about? You could probably explain it better than I can.
Yeah, sure. So essentially a couple that's kind of having marital issues and money issues and stuff. They wake up one night and there's a guy in their crawl space and they confront him. Obviously, that's pretty creepy in general. They confront him and the wife, Heather, played by Michelle Rose, she's ex-military, so she has a weapon in the house. She draws and the guy pulls a weapon on her. She shoots him, and yeah, she kills a guy. And they realize, he's looking for something in the house. And through some clues, he says they think it might be money. Since they're having issues, the husband Mark decides, what if we take an hour to search the house? We look around, we see if there's money, and then we call the cops. Let's just wait a minute. So they do that. An hour passes, and then someone else shows up in the or outside the house, also wanting to search for what's in their place. And it turns into this kind of cat and mouse affair between this crazy assailant outside and the couple inside. And it also kind of deals with their personal problems they're going through, their loss of a family member and past discretions and stuff. So
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, it's an intricate story, and there's a lot going on with it. But it's fascinating to watch how everything kind of unfolds with this movie. So, I'm curious, with so much going on with it, where did the story come from? Like, what prompted you to write in this movie and make it?
that's funny because when people ask me this, it's funny because the first thought I have is like when I came up with the idea, which was the house that we shot in is my house. At the time, it was my girlfriend's house, but now we're married, so it's also my house. And
Great.
and I was laying in bed one night, and I was like, "What?" The bedroom that you see in the movie is above the crawl space. I thought, "What if someone is in the crawl space right now?" And I got up and started writing the beats down. It just kind of came to me, but it also kind of came from this need to make a movie. You know how in this industry, to make a movie, you have had to have made a movie, or even
Yeah.
going to like PAing. If you want to be a PA on a movie set, you have to have been a PA. And it's
Hmm.
like, well, that doesn't really make sense. I mean, I guess it does for making movies, but so who's going to give you the money? How are you going to make it happen? I've been trying to get money for movies for a while now, and it finally just came to this point where I was on a movie set, camera operating, and it was one of those like, if they're doing this, why can't I do it moments. And one night after set, I was laying in bed, came up with that idea, like I said, and as we were on set, I would go to lunch and stuff and write the script, and like 2 weeks later, I think I had a draft, and so
No, that's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I guess that's kind of cool that it's it kind of spawned from this like real life kind of moment where you think what if, right, and then you write it
yeah.
out. That's great. Most of the movie, I mean, by as the title suggests, the movie is shot at night. And happens over the course of an evening into the morning. What challenges did you experience in filming this film overall and also filming at nighttime?
I mean, a lot. So you know, when I decided to do the movie, I was just kind of writing it at first, and then one day I was with Jason, our producer, one of our producers, and he said, "I want to go out in the woods and just shoot something, not really worry about how much money we have, all that." And I was like, "Oh, hey, I've got this idea I've been writing by its end. We could do that. It's one location, it's in one house, it's over the course of one night. It'll be easy, right?" No, that was dumb. It's one location is really difficult. Uh, Part of the most difficult thing for me was the monotony. Like I love movie sets because every other day or so it's a different thing happening, or it's even a different location. This was different things happening, but it was always one location. So it was like, okay, we've been in this house and I live here, so I have to sleep here. And I wrote here, I've been editing here. So that was tough for me. But like Philip talks about, our director of photography, he he had to worry about how do you make one location look interesting. You know, in most movies, you go from the house to the beach and then you come back to the house. It can look slightly different, but in this,
Mhm.
you go from the living room to the bedroom back to the living room. It's got to look the exact same. So
Right.
how do you kind of shoot this angle and then shoot that angle and keep it interesting and looking different? So that was kind of a challenge of, you know, inserting specific shots and specific interesting like artistic shots or whatever you want to call it that kind of keep it interesting. um, so that those are definitely challenges for me and him. Um,
Yeah.
and just a lot. I mean, it's a tight quarter space. It's a 1,100 square foot house. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
bathrooms, that was an issue. That was challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, just keeping the crew in that space and happy and having fun, which actually wasn't very hard. It turned out everyone had a lot of fun and it was a blast to work on. But
Great. That, I mean, that's important. If you have a good time making the movie, then that's, you know,
yeah,
that's what you aim for. And then obviously when it comes out as good of a movie as it did, that's always a bonus. So yeah, that's great. You know, talking about filming, I couldn't help but notice there was this like almost 3 minute one take uh, of the bad guys in the house. Kind of towards the end, not quite, but towards the end. And I am a huge fan of one take shots. And so I'm very sensitive to when they're happening. And I get really excited about that. I'm curious at the decision making process on, because I know you said you were trying to keep it interesting, but the decision making process on doing these longer shots in that particular, you know, nearly 3 minute shot, and also the challenges in coordinating that.
yeah. There was kind of two thought processes when we did that oneer, which was like I had two oneers essentially. The first shot in the movie is a little mini oneer, and
It
then that
is,
shot
yes.
is a big 3 minute
Mm-hmm.
oneer. And kind of the first thought process was, you know, commercially we don't have name stars and we don't have, you know, name director, all that. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to interest people in watching the movie. So it was like, well, what if we drop these little things in, like these oneers and stuff? Maybe that will interest the indie community and film
Mm-hmm.
geeks and stuff. But then the other thought process was I wrote that oneer into the script because I just like this idea of, you know, she's finally, it's that character moment where she's finally realizing like, okay, she's got to do this. And so it, you know, it's her conscious and stuff. We're kind of her conscious moving around the house as she scouts. We're seeing her military background really come in as she scouts and picks out, okay, here's where these guys are, here's what's going on. If I hide here and come out at this moment, I can strike, I can, you know. So it was a mix of commercial thought and producer thinking and story thinking as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it
Awesome.
was challenging. I mean, Philip and I talked about that oneer for a long time. We planned it. It had many different iterations. We walked around it with different cameras, just trying to figure out what kind of camera to shoot it on, if it needed to be different, because obviously it's pitch black and you know we couldn't really hide that many lights anyway. Um, so we talked about it a lot, and then we never got to practice it with everyone. On the day, we shot that and the crawl space fight scene. So you know, once we got enough of the crawl fight, it was like, all right, let's move into the oneer because it's going to take a while. And you know, we walked everyone through it. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And then we ran it about 12 times, not complete, but we did do 12 times, 12 takes, and the last one we got it. And on that day, we had a 2 hour lightning delay, so that was fun.
Oh man, I mean, I did notice that in some of in that scene it was raining, which
Yeah.
I'm sure was fun to work around.
Yeah, well, actually,
Um,
that was a whole other thing. It was we shot in three different blocks, so we would shoot through 4 days over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, take a break, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But because there was no budget, so we had to let people go back to work and do their own thing, you know. But it was supposed to rain over all the blocks and then be sunny when we were on break, is what the forecast showed. So we're like, okay, let's embrace the rain. Let's always make it rain. So anytime we're outside, we had hoses going and we were trying to make it look like rain. And that was super challenging on that one because you know there are people on the roof trying to make it rain in spots, but we don't have the right equipment. So like you know we had to add some in post. But
no, that's great, and it worked. It was a really cool
thanks,
one shot. I got really excited when I saw it, and I'm happy that you guys decided to make those creative
thanks.
choices with the
It's
film.
also one.
Um,
It's also one entire shot. There's no digital manipulation. There's no stitching. So
I was gonna
yeah,
I was gonna ask about that because there's a point where it gets really
yeah.
dark, and I'm like, I wonder if they
We
cut
did
there,
it.
but
It
I'd
yeah.
imagine no.
It literally was.
That and that's
I
cool.
actually operated the oneer, so I had to hand it off. That was the only handoff. I had to hand it off to someone else, who could see through those tall windows, and then they passed it back down, and we just kept it all. We didn't have to cut it. So.
That's incredible. Well done with that.
Thanks.
Um, I want to talk about the characters for a minute. You mentioned Michelle Rose playing Heather. I was a huge fan of her character, and I kind of wanted to discuss the dynamic between her and Kurt Yu, who plays Mark. Discuss the dynamic of their characters because it's interesting how. Um, Empowered, I guess she is as a character, and how she uses that military background, and it's such a strong component of her, um, and and it really makes her kind of the stronger one of the two in the couple, in a
Yeah.
sense, right? And I mean that really goes to uh, writing a strong female character in a movie, and I was very impressed by that. Can you tell me how you guys decided with this couple, what their dynamic was?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess from the start, I never really thought about it being her being male or female. So it was just always like, okay, she's just going to be the strong military lead. And I always knew like they both needed to have complications. Um, and it's not to say that PTSD, which is her not problem, but the issue she's going through, while he is dealing with the issue of the loss of the family member. I never wanted to say one was greater than the other or one was worse than the other. It was really just that like both of them have issues they need to work through, and the main point was like they need to be able to communicate about those things, and they need to. And I've never been to war. I don't have PTSD, but I'm very empathetic to those situations. So I really wanted to kind of show that empathy where it's like, you know, it, again, neither one of those issues is bigger than the other. Um, but I just wanted it to be talked about that. What if we talked about these things? What if you communicated with your partner about these things? Could you not, maybe not get through it, but could you find solace in each other? Um, uh, yeah, but the dynamic between the two, I, I don't know if that answers what you're looking for,
Which it,
but
and it actually does, because I think that's a great answer. The fact that you didn't have to think about it, I think that's what I appreciated about their characters, is that it's so organic. She's the better decision maker.
yeah,
I think she has the defense skills, and she's protecting the house. And he's there, he's supporting her, and like you said, they are trying to talk through the things that they're dealing with and work it out throughout the course of this movie. Throughout the course of the story, but yeah, I do like how you're explaining it, how organic it was. Like, this is just her character, she just happens to have
yeah,
these particular skill sets. This is his character. He has decision making faults,
yeah.
and he's not the most defensive person here, but
And it's
I guess
military
I
too.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's
Hmm.
military too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like, like she has to be able to make decisions, and she struggles with it at first. But then that was the other thing. Like, she's got to slowly like come into it. Where at the beginning of the film, he's making the decisions, but they're not the best decisions. They're kind of bad decisions, and she's just kind of going along with it, which gets them into trouble. So then she's got to step in, play, and really unleash her military background and like embrace it and make the right decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to Moody, played by Michael Aaron Milligan. What a character! I'm very curious, because he kind of has this eccentric personality in this movie, and it's such a fresh take on a antagonist. For this kind of one set, small confines kind of film. I'm wondering if that's how you always envisioned this character, or if the demeanor was something that Michael crafted for this role.
So when I was writing, I had no idea what I wanted this character to be. I literally said to the costumer Emily, I said he's gonna have a hat and he's gonna have this kind of military slash modern contemporary look to his wardrobe. And in the script, he was British and sometimes he was Southern, and I didn't know which to stick with. So what I said to Milligan was, I said, look, I don't know where I want this guy to go, and I want you and I to figure it out. And I really want you to make him what you want him to be. Like in the script, he's titled The Voice. His name isn't Moody in the script. I said, after we started going, I said, name this character. Like, you've done all the work for him, name the character. So we would have long conversations about what he should be. So like one of the things we talked about was he probably goes to therapy when he's not doing crazy stuff. So like when you see his tics, when he's like correcting himself before he gets too angry, you know, there were things like that we would kind of come up with. But there's so much of it is just Milligan making it up as we figured it out, like him turning and whistling for his people to you know, shoot at them, and then they stop, and it's like, I didn't know he could whistle like that. He just kind of made it up and did it, and had all these. Or that scene where he's going through the mail, you know, we did that on set. We had kind of established his character, and he was a little wild, so what we were doing wasn't working. So I said, well, just rifle through their mailbox. That seems fitting for this guy. So we did that, you know. And then again, we got through a lot of it. I said, name the character, and he was like, I like the name Moody. Let's go with that. So
awesome. I'm happy to hear how much kind of creative control that Michael had over that, just because what he did with it was so, like I said, was so fresh and entertaining to watch. Really, he was a really fun antagonist for this movie.
It's funny because as we were shooting, like especially that back porch scene when they first meet him, a couple of us were going, oh, I don't know if this is going to work, and then we started cutting it together. I was like, oh, it does work. Okay, that's interesting. It was a weird. It was an
that's funny.
Process. Yeah.
Very cool. You know, I'm interested. Maybe you touched on this before already, kind of with the dynamic of the couple. But is there anything in particular that you want people to take away from this movie, or anything that you were trying to communicate or intended the message for this movie to be?
Yeah, it's funny. In a lot of my writing, I think one of my main themes is just like communication. We just have so much issues with communication. We can't talk to each other, especially nowadays, and like especially in this like political environment. It's hard for us to talk to each other, and I think that's the main thing. If we can just talk about stuff calmly and efficiently, like we can figure it all out. So I think that was probably one of the main things I was going for.
Awesome. And I think you nailed it. This was such a, like I said, a really fun movie to watch. Very entertaining, interesting. So yeah, I'm excited for other people to see it. And yeah, I think so. Those are all the questions that I have. Was there anything that you wanted to say or about the film, or anything that you any last words about this?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, so we shot. I haven't really been telling people this, but we shot this movie for under $30,000. So hopefully people can learn that and go, holy crap, look what they did. Maybe I could do that awesome. Too. So yeah, that's like my main thing right now. It's like, hey, look what we did for no money.
Well, congratulations. That's quite the accomplishment. So
I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap this up. By Night's End is streaming now on demand. I'll be sure to post the links on where you can watch it. I strongly recommend it. Yeah, thanks, Walker, for taking this time. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.